Tim Stevens, it's good to have you with us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Tony.
For those that don't know Tim, he's from Granger Community Church, executive pastor there, and more importantly, a good friend and used to be my boss. So I always try to keep Tim happy.
That was many years ago.
Well, Tim, why don't you, for those that aren't familiar with Granger and a little bit about your story, would you mind sharing a little bit?
Absolutely. Granger Community Church is in northern Indiana, so we're about 2 miles from the Michigan border. In fact, when Tony was on staff, he lived in Michigan, I lived in Indiana, and it all worked well because we went to the same church. But right by Notre Dame, about 90 minutes east of Chicago. It's a church that's just over 25 years old now. I've been on staff for 17 years, most of that as the executive pastor. And so we've had a fun ride. It's been fun to be at a place long enough to see and experience the ups and the downs and experience life with people through the different phases. So enjoying it here.
Well, Tim, primary reason I wanted to chat with you today is I got your new book. See, it's right here.
I see it.
It's called Vision, Lost and Found. And it's really the story about Granger through the years and really to a place, because of a place where you felt like Granger got stuck. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So for the first, my first probably 12 years, 10 years here or so, and then which would have been about the first 15 years of the church, 15 to 17 years of the church. I define it in the book as kind of like a honeymoon. I mean, it was really, everything was up and to the right. All of the statistics, it was almost like the momentum was so strong that anything we tried worked. Every series we threw out that was creative brought more people in than the series before. We were able to see just tremendous growth during that season, and relationally as well. I had a tremendous relationship with Mark Beeson, our senior pastor. We couldn't be two more different people, but God just really knit our hearts together, and it worked, and we were able to really kind of see some huge things happen from the time the church started in '86 all the way through somewhere around 2004, 2005, somewhere in that time frame.
And the book then picks up the fact that at some point you got stuck, and I think there was just a sense that a new vision was needed. Is that true?
Yeah, we did. So in about 13 years ago now, and just before 2000, we worked together as a church leadership team on our vision for the next 10 years. So from 2000 to 2010, it was a great vision. It really gave us huge sense of momentum, just provided huge wind in our sails, so to speak, of being able to really kind of launch into the next decade. But by the time we got to like 2005, 2006, somewhere in that range, 2007, that vision had really started to lose its momentum. I mean, it was a vision that, 6 or 7 years earlier, people were like sucking air. It was like huge. It was overwhelming. It seemed impossible. But by the time we got to 2006 or 2007, it was like, okay, it's kind of ho-hum. It had lost some of that initial buzz. We'd accomplished a lot of it. Some things we had just changed direction on. We weren't going that direction anymore. Other new things had come up that we were pursuing, such as multi-site would be one that wasn't even in our vision from a few years prior. So we really kind of got to a sense where the old vision, which was the current vision, had lost its vision, or we had lost our clarity about it. We knew we needed something new, but we didn't have a real sense of unity on our team about what that was. It was even hard to get the conversation started because you had to kind of agree that something was needed or something was wrong before you could have that conversation. And so we went through, I would say, probably a good 4, maybe 5 years of just kind of, I talk in the book about it just being kind of a funk where there were still good things happening, especially in our regional and international missions front. We're just doing all kinds of things that were exciting. But it was just kind of like we were kind of, I wouldn't say plotting, but the vision wasn't as clear, and we weren't able to move, and we were beginning to lose the momentum too.
And because of that, then, and what I love about the book is it's not theory. You're walking through kind of step by step what Granger did to turn things around and to get out of that funk, as you described.
Yeah. So we started a process in 2009 that really went through 2011, early 2011, last year, where we just really kind of deliberately and intentionally took our time through just redefining who we are as a church. It wasn't just let's get better at what we've always done. It was let's really, and it wasn't a 180, but it was a shift. You know, we're going this way, and we're going to shift to this way. And we brought new leaders in the team, which was helpful. We got some fresh eyes that we needed, some new perspective, and we just went through a really methodical process with our entire church. And I talk about that in the book and kind of roll it out because we're in it. We're still very much in it. We're 1 year into our 5-year vision, and we're still figuring it out. But I wanted to get the book out early enough to be able to help other churches that might be in that same sense before the feeling of stuckness left us too far, because I knew that was real fresh still, but it wouldn't be for long. So I wanted to get the book out there where I thought it would still be helpful to people. But the process of vision for us this round, differently than in other rounds, was rather than saying, waiting for the leader to come off the mountain like Moses did and deliver the vision. This was more crowdsourced. It was more, okay, what do we as leaders think? But also, what is God saying to people in the pews, so to speak, although we don't have pews. But God is, His Spirit's just as strong in the people in the church as it is within us. So what is He saying to all of us combined?
Seems like that process would be a little scary, both for Mark, senior pastor at Granger, and for the rest of the leadership team. Isn't that the case when you're involving many more people and trying to develop the vision?
It was scary. It was probably a little risky, but we had a sense with kind of what God was telling us that there was no flipping way that we were going to be able to get it accomplished unless there's large scale buy-in, and partially because we lost the momentum. I mean, we had a sense that we didn't have the momentum anymore. So it's like, we can say we're going that way, but the church isn't going to follow unless they believe it too. So we really had a sense that we needed to involve everyone. And there were things in that vision process. Two things happened. One is, and in the book I lay this out, so I won't do it here, but through the process we got like thousands and thousands of pieces of input from people in the church. And two things happened. One was the unity that we felt from people in the church, where God was saying to scores or even hundreds of people in the church exactly what He was saying to us, which was so cool. And the second thing that happened was there were some things that God was saying to the people in the church, scores, that He wasn't saying, that wasn't on our radar. And some of those things still aren't on our radar because we prayed through it. It wasn't what we should be doing. But there was a couple things that came out of that were like, boy, this should have been on our radar. This is exactly the direction we need to be going. And it was really cool to see God speak to us through people in the church that way.
Well, Tim, I appreciate your vulnerability, number one, even admitting that the church, large church, successful church by many measures, got to a place where it was stuck, and then to help us look specifically at the steps you took to begin to move in a new direction. And really, I think it's part of what makes Granger unique. It's not a ministry built on one personality, and so even as you talk about the process of involving many people in developing the vision, it's just characteristic of one of the values that I think Granger embraces.
I appreciate you saying that. And one of the reasons we could have waited on putting the book out until we had some successes under our belt in the new vision. But one of the reasons we did it now was because as we look at our history now, 25 years, pretty much everything that we're doing or have done that worked, we didn't create. We got from someone else.
Yeah.
So we wanted just to pass this along as quick as we could and be able to help other churches that might be in a similar stage.
Well, I want to encourage people. I read the early manuscript. I'm assuming not a lot changed since then, Tim. Did you leave all the good references about me in the book?
Yeah, we left those in there, and then you had great insight that I just changed, 80% of it.
Well, one of the great things about the book, too, is in the very back you include lots of samples, lots of tools. I mean, churches could take those and really help establish a process for them to revision what's happening in their churches. So I think it'll be very practical for leaders to pick that up and consider a process, a conversation that they can have at their church to take some next steps. So I'm assuming folks can go to Amazon to pick that up, Tim?
Yes, yep, it's available on Amazon, yep.
All right, and if you want to follow more of what Tim's writing, you can check out what he's sharing almost daily at leadingsmart.com as well. So, Tim, thanks for being a part of the conversation today.
Appreciate the time, and hey, I need to say you look great in that white t-shirt.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.